February 10th, property taxes. Republican legislators following through on their promise to take a look at limiting your property taxes. What bill was introduced last week? Plus, a look at what's ahead. Pronoun use in schools, a law that would reprimand teachers for using students' preferred pronouns. All right, hello and welcome to the 12 News Connected Desk. I'm Keith Grant. We've got Sean logging here with us, tracking what's happening this upcoming week in the legislature, and of course what happened last week, topping off with the tax exempting tips, which was promised from Republicans. Essentially, they brought forward this bill, right?
Yeah. So Monday, this was announced by leadership on the Senate side when it comes to kind of following in the footsteps of President Donald Trump. They are putting forth a state version of basically exempting taxes on tips. And then also later in the week, we had Governor Kelly and Democrats coming back with a proposal to raise the state's minimum wage to $15. Right now, it's currently set at $7.25 an hour. So
if it's gonna get servers and like people in the food industry better living wages, then I'm for it.
And $7.25 is also the national minimum wage, so the state hasn't really made any adjustments.
Yeah, and that's kind of a big thing when it comes to looking at like Missouri, which has raised their minimum wage. So like there's a bit of a disparity between Kansas and Missouri right now.
Okay, cool. All right, and property tax. There's a constitutional amendment proposed. What's going on with this property tax
So this
bill?
passed in the Senate this past week. So it got the 2/3 it needed to move out of the Senate. It will now go to the House. So what this does is it will cap assessed valuation increases to 3%. This is supported by a lot of Republicans on the Senate side, including the leadership, because they see this as a way to help reduce the property tax burden, especially for lower and middle income families. But it also has raised some concerns as well, because even some Republicans voted against this, saying that like studies have shown where this has been implemented in other parts of the country, it has actually just shifted property tax burdens. It incentivizes things such as home buying and home selling, because it kind of creates some fluctuation in the market, and it also doesn't really do much to address the actual issue of property taxes that people are paying. And so we have on the Republican side in the House, they're kind of working on their own proposal, a little bit different than what the Senate has passed out here this week. But it's important to remember when it comes to a constitutional amendment, it has to pass both the Senate at a 2/3 majority, it has to pass the House at 2/3 majority, and then House has to be passed by voters on the ballot as well.
So we could potentially be voting on this.
Yes.
There's a new bill or an act is regarding filling vacancies. So for like the U.S. Senate, State Treasurer, Insurance Commissioner,
yeah.
Is it just those three?
Right now, that's kind of the three that are in those bills. So both the House and Senate are kind of working on their own versions of this. So basically what it will do is it will require certain things of the governor. So like the legislature would basically submit the governor a list of nominees that she would be able to choose from to fill any vacancies for those positions. And there's also in some of that legislation, there's also requirements that it has to be from the same party that the elected member is from. So like a lot of questions about what type of movement this could see. I know a lot of interest in the past because when Rogers moved to treasurer after being governor's lieutenant governor, there was a lot of concern because to fill a vacancy, like there was some consternation from Republicans because Lynn Rogers would be moved into a position that was held by a Republican.
So as we enter into this week, quite a few bills that you've got highlighted here. I'm going to start off with the first one that Sean mentioned, pronoun use.
Yeah, so this would prohibit educators and public school officials from like using a student's preferred pronouns. They've introduced this bill in the past, so we'll have another hearing here this upcoming week, so we'll see what type of movement it can see, but it's just another one of those bills around some of these cultural war issues that Republicans are looking to move forward.
Of course, in the past, it's obviously not done too well if it's reintroduced.
The issue thing here is the governor's veto, the power that she has. And so, like, even though it might pass and get to the governor's desk, the governor vetoes it, and there's just simply not enough support to reach the 2/3 needed to override that veto.
All right, and then this next one here, rural attorney bills. Of course, this was mentioned right off the bat.
Yeah, so this comes from a commission that was created by the judicial branch looking into how to fill vacancies of attorneys, especially in rural parts of the state. So this week, two bills in both the House and Senate are being looked at that would help to create a program that would incentivize people to go work in rural parts of the country, either as lawyers or as law students, and to provide some financial assistance for them to do so as well. So a way to help kind of create a pipeline for people to go work as attorneys in rural parts of the state.
And I know that this is similar to what the state has already created as far as getting veterinarians into rural parts of the state and doctors as well. You know, this is something that I've covered before. There's currently 2 counties in the state that don't even have any attorneys. And in counties that do have attorneys, they may not be practicing.
And this is a real issue, too, when it comes to just trying to make sure that people are represented. And if you have very few attorneys in a rural part of the state, that means their caseloads are oftentimes a lot bigger, and they're trying to work multiple cases. And that just creates issues for attorneys just providing that fair representation.
It's also a bill burden. It costs money because you have to pay for lawyers to travel into the state.